Hey everyone, I just got out of The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. This is the new animated movie that's just been released by Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema. And I thought I'd go ahead and talk about it and share my thoughts because this is sort of my Tolkien month, right? So I am rereading The Lord of the Rings for the first time since I was a teenager. I'm gonna rewatch the Lord of the Rings movies, maybe the Hobbit movies, Rings of Power. I'm just surrounding myself in Middle Earth. And The War of the Rohirrim was all part of that. A little bit of context about this movie. It was announced, I believe, in 2021. So not that long ago, really, for an animated film especially. And apparently the reason why they made it was so that Warner Brothers could keep the rights for the Lord of the Rings films. So it's not necessarily an auspicious beginning when a creation is essentially starting out as a contract fulfillment. That being said, I had a good time with this movie overall. There are definitely some issues, and I'm a little mixed when it comes to whether I would recommend you see it in the theater or not, but let's talk about it. So first of all, this movie is based on about 5 or 6 paragraphs in the Lord of the Rings appendices about the history of Rohan. And it's interesting, I didn't read that part beforehand, but after I got out of the movie, I decided to go find that section and read it, and just to compare how it compared with the movie. And I have to say, the movie is actually pretty faithful to the sort of rough outline of history that Tolkien talked about. The big thing here is its creation of Hera, who is the main character in the film. She's basically an unnamed, unknown daughter of Helm Hammerhand, who is mentioned in the appendices. On the plus side of things about this movie, I really liked the character designs. The voice acting was really great. The score was nice. There are a lot of references and just straight up sort of rehashings of Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings film score when it's appropriate, and I think it makes sense. Certainly having some of the themes centered around Rohan and the Rohirrim makes sense to have in this film to create a sort of connection. On the negative side of things, the animation is a little rough, and I think that's partly due to that very compressed timeline that they tried to get this done in. The biggest issue I had with it is the animation itself is kind of herky-jerky. Like, there's just not enough frames there to give it more of a smooth sort of flow that I think is kind of expected in a big screen animated picture. And then to kind of further the issue, this sort of jerky 2D animation is set against this more realistic looking 3D background, and I don't think it really works stylistically. I did get used to the motion of the animation, and by the end of the movie, I didn't really notice the jerkiness as much, but it definitely was a barrier of enjoyment for me when the movie set out. The other issue with the movie really is just in the character work. And it's not bad. It's like okay. I enjoyed the movie, as I said. I had a fun time with it. But the character work isn't as rich as the Lord of the Rings movies or really even the Hobbit movies. It's a little more generic. So overall, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I think this is worth checking out. I'm certainly glad I went to see it in the theater just because I like the theater going experience. I like seeing things on a big screen. But I do think for a lot of people, they could safely wait for home. And maybe even some things like the animation style wouldn't seem as much of an issue on a smaller screen versus a large movie theater screen. Did you see Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim? What did you think about it? I'm really interested to see what other people have thought about this one because I have a feeling it's going to be pretty divisive, but there was enough there that I had a good time.